Preparing the harness run. Disengage the 4 trunk threshold clips by loosening counterclockwise from their factory position. Once disengaged, remove the trunk floorboard and remove the threshold by hand. Remove the front passenger side threshold panel by pulling straight up to remove. Remove kick panel. Use a panel tool to remove the snap. Carefully pull the kick panel to the right towards the driver's side of the vehicle. Remove the rear bottom seat cushion. Pull straight up from the center of the cushion to disengage. Remove rear seat cushion from the vehicle. Put down a protective blanket to protect the back seat rest. Tilt the seat down. Disengage driver's side rear seat belt panel. Loosen weather stripping by hand and remove carefully in an outward direction on the passenger side threshold. Carefully disengage the snaps of the passenger rear side panel and pull the rear panel towards you and away to remove. Check the panel for missing snaps. Use a panel or clip removal tool to remove the 2 passenger side trunk liner clips. Once loosened, pull the portion of the liner from underneath the trunk threshold and remove the liner in its entirety out of the vehicle. Remove the push-in snaps on the rear deck carpet on both the passenger and driver side of the vehicle. Once the clips are removed, lift rear deck straight up and towards the front of the vehicle from its rested position. Pull the headliner down slightly from the rear of the vehicle and disconnect the active noise control microphone connection. Return headliner to its original location. Quick sync wire and harness installation. Position the harness in the trunk. Using a factory ground located beneath the trunk rear threshold, remove the 10mm ground bolt and install the harness ground together with the factory ground. Reinstall the 10mm bolt. Make sure the harness ground terminal rests on top of the factory ground terminal. Run the ground wire with existing factory wire and secure using cable ties. Position amplifier, power ground, and subwoofer connectors in rear passenger side cavity. Run power wire, gain control cable, and signal connections towards the front of the vehicle along passenger side trunk along the factory wiring. Use wire ties as necessary. Run signal connection to cable opening near rear deck speakers from trunk area to rear deck. Disconnect the factory rear speaker connections. Install the OEM Audio Plus signal leads into the number 2 and 3 slot of the factory speaker connectors. With the locking tab of the connector facing down, the positive will be in number 2 and the negative lead will be on the number 3 from the back of the connector. Based on your vehicle configuration selection, your OEM Audio Plus system may come with a rear acoustic correction filter. If so, install the filter in line between the rear deck speaker and the rear speaker connector. If filter is not included, return the factory connection to the speaker directly. Reassemble rear deck. Continue the run of power wire and gain controlled cable towards the front of the vehicle along the passenger side factory wiring, and continue routing the harness along the side of the passenger side threshold towards the passenger side kick panel. Use cable ties as necessary. Reinstall rear deck and rear seating area. Power wire installation. On the outside of the vehicle, turn the wheel or remove the wheel to access and loosen the passenger side wheel well liner. Disengage the 5 locking snaps using a panel or pick tool. Loosening the wheel well liner will provide access to the factory grommet location. Cut off the tip of the grommet nipple. Route the power wire through the firewall grommet. Lubricate accordingly to prevent biting. Run the entire length of the firewall grommet to the battery and install a 1/4 inch corrugated loom onto the power wires. Remove the nut from the battery positive terminal and install the fuse holder ring terminal. Reinstall the factory nut. Insert power wire into the yellow butt connector of the fuse holder. Crimp and apply heat to activate the solder and heat shrink insulator for the best connection possible. We recommend running the gain control cable to the glove box and installing the gain control knob here. Subwoofer installation. Using ink or pick tool, mark the 2 hardware locations that pass through the trunk area to under the chassis. In this example, we are using a permanent marker and reinstalling the passenger side trunk liner carpet to its rested position, emphasizing the marks and then trimming the carpet to the diameter of the hardware location. Note, the spacing of these mounting points is 12 inches apart. Using a utility knife, cut a vertical slit approximately 6 to 8 inches in length in its deepest point of the passenger side trunk liner. This will provide access for the harness plugs to pass through to the amplifier. Return the passenger side trunk liner carpet to its original location. Run the quick sync wire and harness amplifier connectors through the slit created. Pass through one connector at a time. And reinstall the trunk liner clips. Reinstall trunk threshold, trunk area, and floorboard. Prepare the subwoofer mounting hardware. Connect the OEM Audio Plus dedicated subwoofer amplifier. Plug the input and gain control cable connections into their designated receptacle. On the other side of the amplifier, plug in the green connector, power and ground, and the speaker output connector. Position the subwoofer over the mounting locations and run the hardware through. In this video, we are showing the hardware running through the factory locations with the subwoofer removed from its mounting location. This is for the sake to provide clear visuals. With the subwoofer in place, tighten the hardware from underneath the vehicle using a 10mm socket or ratcheting wrench. Install a 30 amp fuse into your fuse holder to complete your installation.